It's Sunday the 25th of October 2020. I'm Anne Scott and I'm a member of the AIR U3A Craft and Natter group. The group was only formed in March, so due to COVID we've only been able to meet online. After some discussion we decided to make banners which would represent the various activities within the group. Most of the squares have been made by members of the Craft and Natter group, and I volunteered to assemble the banners. I've been asked to keep a video diary to chart progress. The squares have all been made to approximately 8.5 inches and demonstrate a wide variety of crafting techniques such as patchwork, felting, knitting and hand stitching. We had to order wadding and gold and blue cotton material, which, as you know, are the colours of the U3A nationally. We'd just done that when we learned that the U3A were changing the colour gold to white, so we ended up buying some white material. Also, the logo was moving from uppercase to lowercase. However, I am going to incorporate all the three colours, the blue, the gold and the white, into what I think will end up to be 3 banners if we manage to represent all the different groups. I'll deal a little bit more with assembling the banner in my next diary. It's Sunday the 8th of November, and thanks to some very wet and windy weather I've managed to make some progress with the banner. I've trimmed the squares to 8.5 inches. I've cut blue material to 1 inch wide, pressed it in half, and I'm making a loose border round the squares to emphasise the colour contrast between the pale background and the yellow sashing. So I'm just going to extend my stitch length here because I only want to tack it down, and then I'm just going to go along here. So I've now positioned 1 blue border in place along the top, and in true Blue Peter style, I'm going to show you one that I made earlier with the blue along the top and the bottom, and then 2 pieces down the side. And as you can notice, the border is loose, that does not get tacked down. That's it in position now, and I'll do that for all the squares. The other thing I've done this week is I've made a logo with the U3A and AIR appliqued on. And we will need 3, if we do 3 banners, we'll need 3 logos. Phyllis has already done 2, but because this is the first one with traditional colours, I've made this one with yellow background, little squares and a rectangle, and then appliqued. I got the numbers and letters from Google Images. Had to mirror, reverse things like the R, which isn't symmetrical. So that's the banner logo that will go into the first banner. The next step for the banner, which is the sashing, I'll show you in the next video diary. It's Wednesday the 11th of November, and thanks to some more wet and windy weather, I've been able to make some more progress with the banner. I have cut the yellow material, the yellow cotton, 2.5 inch wide for the sashing, and the blue 2.5 inch squares, which will be the cornerstones. The yellow sashing has to go onto the sides of the squares. I'm using a 1/4 inch foot, which makes sure that the seams are accurate, because we need to make sure that the points are as near as possible meeting when we come to join it all together. So it's important to keep the seam size consistent. So here we have the next 2 squares that are going to be joined together. The yellow on the side here, that's the yellow which will join these 2, and then I'll put another yellow one down the side here. And that's one again that I did before, just to show the two squares joined together with the sashing. The next stage obviously now is to join across the way, and this involves the yellow sashing that I showed you I had cut and the blue cornerstones, and these blue cornerstones just add a bit of definition at the corner of each of the squares. That will simply get stitched on, right sides together there, stitched, turned over and pressed. And here is one, which you can see has got the sashing and the cornerstones top and bottom. So the four panels will be joined by the sashing. Once that's done, I'll be putting a broad blue border around the whole top of the banner. And I'll speak to you again when I get to that stage. It's November the 20th, and I'm down in the dining room now because I needed a big table to lay everything out nice and flat. As you can see, the panel is now complete. I've added 2.5-inch borders right round, sides first of all, and then across the top. So that's the panel finished. To make the banner, we need 3 layers. We've got the panel layer, we've got the wadding or batting underneath, which at the moment is bigger and that'll need to get cut to size. For the backing, I'm using blue material, and I've just pinned this at the moment. But putting right sides together, that's half of the backing. The other half, I've put 2 triangles of material, and that will hold the banner. A piece of wood, a piece of slatting will go across the top there, and that will just hang from a pin on the wall. And that gets placed there, right sides together. That needs to go underneath there, so I've got a finished edge when it all turns the right way round. So once I'm happy with the positioning of all the different pieces, I'll trim them the exact size and stitch around the whole of the banner in a 1/4-inch stitch. I'll then turn it round through the opening in the back here. And the next stage then is to quilt to make sure the 3 layers stick together. And I'll show you that in my next video. It's Wednesday the 9th of December. Been a bit of a pause since the last time I did any sewing to the banner, being involved with some more other Christmas sewing. The last time I posted, I had the panel, the wadding and the backing, and I was going to be stitching them all together. So I finished going right round with the stitching, and with the gap in the middle here, which will allow me to turn it right round like an envelope. And I've now secured the backing here with some blunder web. Then the next job then was to decide how to quilt it to secure the panel to the wadding and the backing. And after a bit of discussion in the Craft and Natter group, we decided that minimal quilting was really required, as most of the impact was coming from the squares. So I chose one of the kind of fancy stitches from a machine, which I don't tend to use a great deal. So it was good fun experimenting with some of the different stitches. And I've chosen a little block stitch to go around each of the blue squares. And so that's all the blue squares, and that then means that the stitching for these goes through the back, and that also helps to secure the join at the back of the banner. So the last thing then is to make sure the banner hangs well on the wall. So the triangles are there to do that. Felt that it needed a little bit more support, so I've made a couple of little pockets here, and once the wood is cut to size and put into the pockets there, these little envelopes of material will just come over here and I'll hand stitch these into place. And the banner will be secured right along the top. It'll hang from one pin on the wall. So that is banner number 1 finished. 1 down, 2 to go, and the other 2 will be project for 2021. It's Friday the 11th of December and I have just completed the banner and I wanted to let you see it in its finished form. My husband has cut the piece of wood, the exact width to make sure it's stretched out, and I've a couple of extra pieces of material here just to hold it secure. Also it's embroidered a little information panel at the bottom here which indicates the people involved in the making of the banner and when it was sewn. So it's now ready to hang and be used as part of any meetings that, make sure it's straight, the U3A might be having. We've got the logo, craft and natter, cycling, French, home baking, gardening, news and philosophy. I think that the U3A group is a very active, lively and a very well managed group, and I hope that the banners will be a lasting memento for the local group as part of the national U3A group.